Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good morning. What a great crowd we have today. I'm so proud. I'm so proud to represent more than 35,000 hardworking women and men of the Hotel Trades Council. As someone who came up through the ranks of the labor movement, I take great pride in the fact that the labor community has been at the heart of every major advancement for working families over the past century. We have been the cornerstone of the middle class, fighting for equality, fairness, and opportunity for all. Today, I'm joined by Hector Figueroa from 32BJ, Maria Castaneda from 1199, David Mertz from the RWDSU, unions like ours that are fighting for our members and for all working people throughout New York. We're here today to call on Albany to raise the minimum wage for all workers. But this morning, we got another victory in pay equity and worker equity. The Labor Commissioner is giving all tip workers a 50% raise. I would like to thank my fellow members of the Wage Board for their work. Our chair, Timothy Griffin, and my co-member, Heather Bruschetti. I would also like to thank former Labor Commissioner Peter Rivera for appointing the Wage Board, and the acting commissioner, Mario Mussolino, who is with us today, for his acceptance of our recommendations. And lastly, I would like to thank Governor Cuomo for once again showing that he is a true friend and fierce fighter for working families. Today, we're taking another step in the right direction by addressing wage standards for tipped employees. Among the reforms the Wage Board has recommended is raising the minimum wage for tipped workers from $5 to $7.50 an hour. That will make New York tipped workers one of the highest in the nation. Raising wages for tipped workers will allow them to provide a better life for themselves and their families, and will lead to an injection of more consumer spending in our local economies. It's good for workers, good for families, and good for our economy. There is a great debate about how to make New York more affordable, how to combat income inequality while growing our economy. At the center of that debate is increasing wages for our tipped workforce. Take the example of Andre Anderson. Andre was born and raised in this city, and he's been a tip worker in the restaurant industry for the past 5 years. Despite working a full-time job, Andre has had to live in a homeless shelter when his tips were undependable. Today, we're saying that that must change. Andre is here with us today. And what we want Andre to know is what we all know is what he needs is a job in a union hotel. We'll have to talk to you about that after the meeting, Andre. While breaking the glass ceiling for women is always a goal, we strive to reach increasing pay for tip workers that gives 160,000 women the opportunity to break free from the sticky floor of income inequality. I'm proud to have been part of the Wage Board and taken these powerful actions to help close the wage gap, alleviate wage-driven poverty, and ensure greater pay equity for our women workforce. The goal of a strong economy is building a robust middle class. But to get the middle class, we need to grow our economy from, to get to the middle class, we need to grow our economy from the ground up. Today, we've taken another solid step in that direction. But of course, there's more work to be done. Not just for tip workers, but for all hardworking men and women who are currently making the minimum wage in New York State. And that is why we need to pass the governor's plan to increase the minimum wage yet again. His proposal is aggressive, it's doable, and the state legislature needs to make it a reality this year. With that, let me introduce Hector Figueroa from 32BJ, a labor leader who has fought for working people and for immigrants, and who is here today to help us fight for higher minimum wages for all New Yorkers.
Buenos días, familia. Good morning. It's great to be with the family of labor, and I want to thank Peter Ward for such a great union. And it's really energizing to see all of the Hotel Trades Council members here. We have some 32BJ members as well, members from other unions, because this is a critical day for us, a very important day. And we want to thank Governor Cuomo, because as we are waiting for baseball season, I would say he's already putting us ahead on the game. It is now our job to win the game. We're starting the game ahead. We're going to win races for minimum wage workers throughout the state of New York, and we can lead the country. We can lead the country. The fact that today the state is accepting the recommendation from the Wage Board, and that we have a governor that is thinking and acting according to those thoughts of raising wages, gives hope to millions of workers around the country and to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, here in New York. It has been in February that airport workers, thanks to, in large part, the efforts of the governor, have moved now from $7.25, in some cases even $6.46, to $10.10 an hour as part of our campaign to raise wages that has been so welcome by newspapers like the Daily News, the New York Times, and the public in general. Fast food workers who have begun, again, another year, fighting for $15 an hour of a minimum wage, who have captured the imagination of working people all around the country, will benefit too from the efforts that we do here in New York. Home care workers, retail workers, brothers and sisters, we are on the move. We're gaining momentum. New York is leading the way. We are going to raise wages throughout this country. But being ahead on the game doesn't mean that we have won, right? We have to play the 9 innings, maybe 10, maybe 11, and we have to make sure that we keep being ahead. On every opportunity, we need to make sure we bring this home. So to the legislature here in New York, to our good friends in Albany, let's put partisan differences aside. Let's put ideology aside. Let's do what is right for the working men and women of this state. Let's raise the minimum wage now. Let's do it. Let's do something good for the people who work hard in the service sector, in retail, throughout the economy. Brothers and sisters, Governor, I'm going to work with you, with Peter, with David, with Maria, with all the labor leaders in the state to make sure that we can do what is best in us, and we give hope to working people throughout the state. So with that, brothers and sisters, please stand up and join me in introducing to you the governor of the great state of New York, the governor who's going to lead us in raising the minimum wage, addressing income inequality, and rebuilding the middle class, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, you are a good-looking group today. Do we have anyone from labor in the house this morning? First, to HTC, thank you so much for hosting us. You have been a good friend to me for many, many years. And I'm so excited to be part of this today, because it's good for HTC, it's good for the labor movement, it's good for the state of New York. It couldn't be any better. To your leader, Peter Ward, who's been a friend to me for a long, long time, and is just one of the really enlightened, what Peter has done for the members of HTC is one of the most dramatic areas of progress that I have ever seen in the labor movement. And it really shows. He has been really extraordinary. Let's give him one more round of applause. Peter Ward. Oh, stop. You know, Peter's shy. You're going to make him blush. Except I don't see him blushing. And you have on the stage, we have really extraordinary labor leaders. The way you have Peter Ward here at HTC, we have Hector Figueroa from 32BJ, which has been a fantastic union, doing a lot of good work. We have David Mertz from RWDSU. Maria Castaneda from 1199, which has been a powerhouse for social justice. Let me say this. These labor leaders get it. They really get it. They're a new generation of labor leaders. And they understand that labor is not the enemy of business. They want business to do well. We want those hotels to do well. We want people buying the co-ops and the condos, and we want people in residential buildings. We want tourists coming to New York. We want those airplanes flying so the airport workers have jobs and have activity. We want business to do well, because then these leaders can sit down with business and say, we want our fair share of what's going on. So, we have been working very hard to get the economy running, and the economy is running. We had a bad period after the 2008 recession, but we are out of it and we are moving forward. This state is number 2 in the nation in job creation since the recession. Just think about that, 500,000 new jobs. So, when they sit down with the leaders of business can't say, I'm sorry, I'm broke. They're doing great, and we know they're doing great. And we want them to do what's fair, and we want them to do what is right by labor, and that's what today is all about. the findings today from Commissioner Mario Mussolino. Let's give him a round of applause. I would like to take credit for Commissioner Mussolino, but he actually started with a different Cuomo. That's how long Mario's been at work. He started with my father, another Mario Cuomo, who was very proud. And I want you to know, Commissioner Mussolino, that Mario Cuomo would have been very proud of what you did today. Let's give him another round of applause. But the tip board came back that had a lot of good guidance on it, including Peter Ward. And they had 3 findings for us today. First, that the uniform tip amounts and criteria for all tipped workers in the hospitality industry will have the same rates applied to food service workers, service employees, and service employees in resort hotels. So there's now one wage right across the board. They voted to increase the tipped cash wage amount from their current rate of $495.65, which had not increased since 2011, and all 3 rates will now go to $7.50 an hour, effective December 2015. And now, if the legislature enacts a separate minimum wage rate for New York City, which we hope they will, then the cash wage for such workers will be increased $1 more, effective on the date of that separate minimum wage rate for New York City. And that's why it takes us to the discussion of the minimum wage overall. The minimum wage we just increased 2 years ago, and we're still phasing in that increase. Why did we raise the minimum wage? Because the economy was doing well, and businesses were doing well. And I believe a rising tide raises all boats, and if business is doing well, God bless business, but labor has to go up along with business. So the economy was doing well. And we raised the minimum wage. So this year, the minimum wage is going to go from $8.75 to $9 statewide. That is the current law. But what we're coming back and saying now is, since 2 years ago, when we passed that law, the economy has gotten even better. And the economy has gotten even stronger. And businesses are doing even better. So we want to come back and raise the $9 minimum wage. $9 is $18,000 a year. You cannot, if you work full-time, $18,000 a year, you cannot raise a family. You can't pay for rent and food and insurance and health care on $18,000 a year in the city of New York. You cannot do it. And the concept of the minimum wage was, if you work full-time, you will be out of poverty and you can live with dignity and take care of your family. That's what the minimum wage means. And when it's $18,000 in New York City, you can't get there. And business doesn't have the excuse of saying, we can't afford anymore, we're broke, because we know they're not. They're making record profits. So we're saying we want to come back and raise the minimum wage again. We want to take it to $10.50 in the state of New York, the highest wage in the United States of America. And we're saying we want to do something else for the first time. We want to recognize the differential between New York City and the rest of the state. Because the truth is, it's more expensive to live in New York City than it is to live in the rest of the state. So we want to raise it to $10.50 statewide, but we want to raise it to $11.50 in the city of New York. And why do we want to do it? Why do we want to do it? Because some issues are very, very simple. And this issue is a very, very simple issue. You know what we do in New York State? We do the right thing. We do the fair thing. We do the honest thing. We do what is right for the people. And business is doing well, God bless them. But it is time that they share. We are looking at a polarization of income in this nation that we have never seen before. We're seeing an economy where the rich are getting richer, and the middle class and the working families are being left further and further behind at a way that they can't even catch up. And we're saying that is not what New York is all about. And that is not what America is all about. And it's time this state stood up and showed the rest of the nation what fairness and decency and community means, that the sweetest success the sweetest success is shared success. The sweetest success and the healthiest success is when we all do well together, because that's what community is all about. And we want business to do well, and business is growing, and God bless, and let's share with the workforce, and let's all rise together. That's what New York has been about. That's what this nation is all about. That's what this wage increase is all about. Let's show that we respect labor, we respect workers, and when they're respected, they do better, everyone does better, and that's the New York way, and let that resonate all across this country. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let's hear it for the governor. Come on. Thank you, Governor. I want to thank Governor Cuomo for being such a great friend of our union, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Meeting is over. Thank you.